The most valuable asset in women's sports, the biggest asset in women's sports, the idea that they did not have somebody in this position it's asinine, it's ridiculous, it's insulting to the fan base. It shows a lack of professionalism by what's supposed to be a professional basketball team, an organization. It's shocking to me. It is shocking. But the Indiana Fever
So, the Indiana Fever just hired a new health director, which is wild. But get this, the real shock isn't who they picked, it's the fact that this super critical job didn't even exist until now. We just went through a brutal season, right? Caitlin Clark was sidelined multiple times with injuries, and after all that, the team finally posted a job for a senior director of player health and performance. This role is absolutely essential for any professional team, yet it only came to be after a year of catastrophic breakdowns, leaving everyone questioning the Fever's basic professionalism. Clark, the biggest star in the league, kept getting hurt, yet her health seemed like an afterthought. It feels like organizational malpractice, a slap in the face to both players and fans, and it really shows how far behind the Fever truly were. This isn't just a simple oversight, it's a massive leadership failure that could put careers at serious risk.
26 WNBA season. This is great news. Cannot wait to see her back on the floor. Now, there's also a lot of us Caitlin Clark fans who are triggered by the statements that Stephanie White made on the Fever Insider podcast, where she said that the team is building around Kelsey Mitchell, and we feel like Caitlin Clark needs to demand a trade. You know, like it's a lot. It's a lot. Caitlin Clark needs to get out of there. We're going to get into this footage of Caitlin Clark back working out, back training. This is great. We got a lot more to get into. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Man, it was just one injury nightmare after another. Seriously, a relentless cycle of physical setbacks. She suffered multiple quad injuries that kept her off the court for weeks at a time. Then came a minor groin issue, followed by a more severe one in mid-July. Just when you thought she might finally be getting back, she sprained her ankle while rehabbing, and that ultimately ended her entire season. These weren't just random incidents. They painted a pretty grim picture of inadequate player care. Her body, the very engine of her incredible talent, was breaking down. It made fans genuinely question whether the team was even equipped to handle the physical demands placed on her. The sheer number of injuries, especially those soft tissue ones, raised serious concerns about how the Fever were preventing and managing injuries throughout the season.
An organization, it's shocking to me. It is shocking. But the Indiana Fever have made a job posting. And Lord knows it's a job that they absolutely need somebody in this job. My issue is, how the hell did you not already have somebody doing this? And why didn't you bring somebody on during the season? The whole team turned into a MASH unit.
And it wasn't just Caitlin either. She was far from the only Fever player to face season-ending hardship. By the end of the season, that team was basically a MASH unit. For other players, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Carlson, Erica McDonald, and Chloe BBY all suffered injuries that cut their seasons short. Plus, Darius Dante missed the entire playoffs because of a concussion, and the source of that injury is still suspiciously unclear even now. Even Kelsey Mitchell, a veteran leader, went down with a freak leg injury in the final playoff game. This catastrophic injury toll across the entire roster wasn't just bad luck. It pointed directly to a systemic problem within the organization, a massive gap where professional medical oversight should have been. The sheer number of sideline stars was genuinely unprecedented and deeply concerning.
Is back in the gym. The GOAT is back in the gym. Now, my thing is, Stephanie White has some very disturbing things to say. We all know Stephanie White's a bonehead, and for whatever reason, she in the Fever organization or whoever feels like they should be building the team around Kelsey Mitchell. We've heard plenty of times, Kelsey Mitchell, she is our number one priority last year. She'll be our number one priority this year.
Now, let's talk about this new job. The description for the Senior Director of Player Health and Performance is massive and incredibly comprehensive. Honestly, just reading it exposes all the neglect that was happening before. This person will oversee the entire health, medical, and athletic performance department. We're talking full-time sports performance coaches, athletic trainers, physical therapists, massage therapists, nutritionists, chiropractors, and even interns. Their responsibilities cover everything from initial exams and diagnoses to treatments, monitoring, and injury prevention. This extensive list really highlights the startling lack of these fundamental services in the past, leaving a massive hole in player care. It's essentially a blueprint for what should have been in place years ago, not just a reactive measure after a devastating injury crisis. It completely confirms the organization's unbelievable lack of preparation and oversight before.
The whole team turned into a MASH unit. It's crazy. It is crazy. It's no secret the Indiana Fever were dealt a brutal hand when it came to injuries they dealt with during the 2025 WNBA regular season. The most notable of these is regarding star Caitlin Clark, who experienced several soft tissue injuries during her sophomore WNBA campaign. She suffered 2 relatively minor quad injuries that kept her sidelined for a couple of weeks early in the season.
And you can imagine, the outrage among fans and analysts is absolutely palpable. People are calling this entire situation organizational professional sports malpractice. The fact that a WNBA team, especially one featuring the league's biggest star, operated without such a fundamental health and performance role is downright ridiculous. It's insulting to the entire fan base. This isn't just some small oversight. It shows a profound lack of seriousness and professionalism within the Fever organization. It screams of an amateur approach to managing multi-million-dollar athletic assets. The delay in addressing such a critical need only after a season marred by debilitating injuries is being seen as unforgivable, a clear dereliction of duty by those in leadership.
Clark should move on. Caitlin Clark needs to move on. This is just not gonna work. This is not gonna work. You know what I mean? This is the quote from Stephanie White. I want to continue to build around her. She is absolutely the number one priority. Now, she said she was the number one priority last year. She'll be the number one priority this year. So, being that Kelsey Mitchell is your number one priority, I think Kayla.
The finger of blame. So, who's responsible here? Well, it points squarely at Fever leadership, especially Stephanie White and Amber Cox. Many people believe these two should have demanded that this position be created years ago, or at the very least, recognize the urgent need for it long before things got this bad. The idea that such a crucial role, one vital to player well-being and overall team performance, wasn't prioritized or even seen as essential until after this entire injury crisis is just baffling. Some are even suggesting this oversight dates back to last year, before Caitlin Clark was drafted, which really highlights a long-standing organizational failure. Their inability to proactively address player health now stands as a glaring testament to seriously short-sighted leadership.
Her sophomore WNBA campaign, she suffered 2 relatively minor quad injuries that kept her sidelined for a couple of weeks early in the season, then a minor groin injury that kept her out for another couple of weeks, then suffered a more serious groin injury on July 15th. Let's not forget about the ankle. Oh, here we go. But that's not all. Clark sprained her ankle while rehabbing before an August 7 game, which delayed her return timeline to the point where the Fever felt like she didn't have enough time to properly recover and return to the court. Thus,
and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? A terrifying question is looming. Who was actually providing these critical services before this new role was created? Was there anyone truly equipped to diagnose, treat, and prevent injuries for the Fever's professional athletes? The implication is pretty grim. Maybe it was just interns, or even worse, no dedicated professional staff at all. Some people are even asking if players like Caitlin Clark were literally forced to pay for their own care, seeking external medical attention because the team lacked the necessary internal support. That scenario is honestly unfathomable for a professional sports league. It suggests a gross dereliction of duty toward player welfare, a complete vacuum of care that's simply unbelievable.
This is a quote from Stephanie White. I want to continue to build around her. She is absolutely the number one priority. Now, she said she was the number one priority last year. She'll be the number one priority this year. So, being that Kelsey Mitchell is your number one priority, I think Caitlin Clark should demand a trade. I think she should demand a trade. I don't trust you. I don't trust Amber Cox. I don't trust Kelly Crosskopf. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't even want her working out at the damn facility.
On top of all that, the timing of this job posting really amplifies the controversy. It's not just that this role is new, it's that it's being created now, in late October, after the season has already wrapped up. Nothing, it seems, pushed the organization to act back in June or even earlier during the height of the injury crisis. This delay suggests a completely reactive, rather than proactive, approach to player health. It implies they waited for the situation to become catastrophically bad before finally acknowledging this massive deficiency. Fans are left wondering why such a fundamental position wasn't established a long time ago, perhaps even before Clark arrived. It all just demonstrates unbelievable negligence.
Return timeline to the point where the Fever felt like she didn't have enough time to properly recover and return to the court, thus ending her season. Clark was far from the only Fever player that got hurt, as 4 other players, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, and Chloe Bibby, all suffered season-ending injuries in the final 2 or so months of the season. Demarius Dantes missed the playoffs because of concussion. It's still unclear where that concussion came from. The phantom concussion, nobody, I still never saw.
And this whole mess really casts a harsh spotlight on the broader professionalism of the WNBA itself. For many people, the league often feels more like minor league baseball or a Division A team broadcast on local television. It just lacks the polish and infrastructure of a major sports organization, the inability, or perhaps even unwillingness, of a professional team to afford or conceive of such critical roles before a crisis only reinforces that perception. If a professional league couldn't afford to have these essential positions in place earlier, then serious questions arise about its fundamental viability as a truly professional entity. It stands as a clear indictment of the league's standards, a stark reminder of just how far it still has to go.
I don't trust Amber Cox. I don't trust Kelly Crosskopf. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't even want her working out at the damn facility over there. I'm hearing that the owner's son is not feeling y'all. If that's the case, you need to step in. You need to step in. Do y'all want Kelsey Mitchell and Stephanie White, or do y'all want Caitlin Clark? Let's get something clear here. Let's get things clear all the way around the board. How about that? Let's get this thing clear all the way around the board. Caitlin Clark is the reason people was even tuning into Indiana.
But here's the kicker, and the irony couldn't be more glaring. The Indiana Fever had in their hands the single most valuable commodity in women's sports right now, Caitlin Clark. Yet, despite having such a generational star, they completely failed to provide even the most basic professional support for her and her teammates. TO have a player who's drawing record-breaking viewership, sponsorships, and national attention, all while the organization operates without a proper player health and performance department, is an unbelievable contradiction. It's a staggering misalignment of priorities. They clearly recognized her commercial value but neglected the human one. The fact that the Fever could build marketing campaigns and ticket sales around Caitlin Clark, yet ignore her fundamental health and safety needs, is almost surreal. It's not just poor management. It's professional negligence on a massive scale, especially when you consider how much her presence has transformed the entire league.
Job listing after injury-plagued WNBA season. Here's the job listing. I gotta tell you, it's absolutely needed, but it's also really embarrassing. Indiana Fever Senior Director of Player Health and Performance. Why the hell wasn't somebody already in this position? That's organizational, professional sports malpractice. Frankly, it shows a lack of seriousness.
And then, to pour salt on the wound, remarks from Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, have ignited an absolute firestorm, further fueling fan frustration. On the Team's Insider podcast, White actually stated that the team plans to continue building around Kelsey Mitchell, proclaiming her as absolutely the #1 priority again this year, just as she was last year. These comments come against the backdrop of Clark's injury-plagued season and the organization's ongoing health and leadership failures. To many fans and analysts, White's remarks sound tone-deaf and dismissive toward Clark, a player whose presence has completely transformed the team's public image, marketability, and financial standing. The result? A wave of outrage and disbelief. Many now see this as proof of a deep internal conflict within the franchise, a clash between old loyalties and the new era Caitlin Clark represents.
All the way around the board. Caitlin Clark is the reason people was even tuning into Indiana Fever games. Y'all lost 55% of the viewing audience once she wasn't playing. Y'all had to lie. Y'all lied about the injury. Y'all strung people along. Y'all wouldn't let her come back. Strung people along for an entire damn near season. Y'all waited until 2 days before the last game of the season to say she wasn't coming back. Why? Because y'all was trying to keep her fans in tune. Y'all was trying to keep hope so that, hey, I'm going to buy a ticket for down the line and maybe.
Clear all the way around the board, Caitlin Clark was the reason people were even tuning in to Indiana Fever games. You lost 55% of your viewing audience the moment she stopped playing. That y'all had to lie, straight up. You lied about the injury. You strung people along, refusing to give clear answers, refusing to let her come back. You dragged fans through nearly an entire season of false hope, and then you waited until 2 days before the final game of the season to finally admit she wasn't coming back. Why? Because you were trying to keep her fans engaged, trying to sell that last bit of hope. Maybe she'll return. You wanted people to keep buying tickets, to keep watching, to keep believing. It was never about honesty. It was about money and optics.
Professional sports malpractice. Frankly, it shows a lack of seriousness. And I would assume this should fall back on Stephanie White and Amber Cox for not demanding that this position or seeing the need for it. Shit, really going all the way back to last year. Forget about it. Christy Sides, the organization, somebody should have been on staff the moment Caitlin Clark got drafted.
So, it's really no surprise that the overwhelming sentiment among Caitlin Clark's fans right now is that she needs to demand a trade from the Indiana Fever. That feeling comes straight from Stephanie White's repeated public comments, putting Kelsey Mitchell ahead of Clark as the team's #1 priority. Combine that with the organizational health failures that have just been exposed, and it paints a pretty grim picture. Fans genuinely believe that if Clark stays in Indiana, her career, health, and long-term success could all be at serious risk. There's a growing perception that the current Fever leadership, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and Kelly Krauskopf, simply cannot be trusted to manage or protect her future. The situation has reached a breaking point. For many, the only logical move now is for Caitlin Clark to get out fast, before this franchise completely derails her career.
People along for an entire damn near season. Y'all waited until 2 days before the last game of the season to say she wasn't coming back. Why? Because y'all was trying to keep her fans in tune. Y'all was trying to keep hope so that, hey, I'm gonna buy a ticket for down the line and hopefully she'll be playing. Or I'm gonna watch today, maybe she'll get announced that she's playing. Like y'all used her and strung her fan base along, but y'all want to build around Kelsey Mitchell. Why don't y'all just use Kelsey Mitchell's fan base? She got a lot of publicity from being next to Caitlin Clark, and she's a hell of a player. Not taking that away. She's a hell of a player.
And if that wasn't enough, what's really pouring gasoline on the fire is the accusation that the Indiana Fever organization deliberately lied about Caitlin Clark's injury and misled fans about her potential return. Many fans are claiming that the team withheld the truth, waiting until just 2 days before the final game of the season to finally admit that Clark wouldn't be coming back. The alleged motive? To keep fans engaged, clinging to hope that she might suit up again, all to boost ticket sales and maintain viewership even though, behind the scenes, they reportedly knew her season was already over. This perceived deception is being slammed as a manipulative tactic, one that's now completely shattered the trust between the franchise and its most valuable asset, Caitlin Clark's massive fan base.